And I think Bovino leaving can only be a good development, and we'll hope for the best. But we're going to continue to press the claim of our state, and no matter who's there.
Yeah, I mean, a federal judge.
Dude, Hasanabi heads after appearing on my stream. They get around, you know what I mean?
You will pet me, whether you like it or not.
Say you condemn Hamas. Say I'm Israel. Hi. Say you condemn October 7th. You are Hamas. It's Monday. That's right. It is Monday, ladies and gentlemen. In the world, there's a lot happening in the world of Hasanabi Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. So help me God, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you all about it for all the parasocialists out there. I did watch Heated Rivalry last night. I did. I watched a little bit of Heated Rivalry. Let me tell you something, okay? That is the gayest show I've ever... Like, I think Tweeted Rivalry. I think Heated Rivalry is... I can't tell if it's gayer than gay because it does have a lot of gay elements in it. I mean, it's just like, it's straight up. There's so much sex in it. Like, and they don't even like, there's so much sex in it. I would say like, it's like 20% dudes they're trying to keep, and then 40% dudes getting ready to watch. And then the rest is just like filler. I watched the first 2 episodes and I could not believe it. I like it gets heavy. There's romance too. You're describing, I mean, that's why I'm saying like, I don't know if I could call it like, I mean, it's definitely very upscale. Like it's not, the acting is great. The old Craven misbehave. Like it feels like, you know how, you know, sometimes ladies will watch or read smut. I feel like this is for the boys, for the gays. It's basically like the equivalent of reading smut, but instead, you know, it's just like softcore. Don't be homophobic. Now, I'm not. I mean, it's good. It's compelling. It's an interesting story. It's just, I watched episode 1 and 2 and it was mostly just like, just ass cheeks getting clapped. Being sucked, ass cheeks getting clapped. A lot of that. It was a book adaptation, Hasanabi, so that makes sense. Its biggest fan base is middle-aged women. After episode 3 gets very romantic. Okay, good. Because episode 1 and 2, I'm mad. I'm mad at the mistreatment that my boy is getting. Okay, the Russian twunk is really hurting the Canadian twonk's feelings, and I don't think it's appropriate at all. I don't like the way that he's being treated. Okay, it pissed me off. Okay, it actually pissed me off. I was like, the f is this? Stand up for yourself, man. I know this is your first gay experience, but stand up for yourself. What are you doing? What are you doing? You killed it on Booty Boot Camp. You've already done stuff with your butt with a dildo. Like, you don't need Ilya. You don't need him to treat you the way he's treating you. I don't like that. Get them on the podcast. I'm begging you. I'm just mad. I'm mad. The first 2 episodes, Ilya and Hollander used their names. Yeah, whatever. It just pissed me off. First 2 episodes pissed me off. Okay. Bottoms rights. All right. Bottoms rights. Also, Ilya's like, he's also bisexual. What's that about? You know, he's like, I mean, maybe there's more to it on that part of the story, but he's like constantly cheating on him. I don't like that at all. I have a very soft spot for as you guys know, I'm a bottoms right advocate. Okay. A bottoms rights advocate. I think tops are too selfish, and it turns out tops are too selfish, and this is a universal phenomenon. I thought it was just like Austin. I thought it was just in America or something, and it's just like bottoms need more. Bottoms need more love. They need more care, and they need more consideration. Now, I don't know if they're verse, for the record. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know at all, but. Dude, bisexual means they like both. Okay, but like, if just because you're bisexual doesn't mean you get to everybody. Like, what is this argument? Okay, lock in. Be a man. Be a man. Okay, be responsible. What is this like? Oh, I have a girlfriend. Oh, I have a girlfriend in Russia. Like, I'm just gonna have sex with my girlfriend while also leading on Hollander. Like, what is that? What the f is that? What are you doing? It pissed me off. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It pissed me off. Him and Svetlana aren't dating. They're just friends. Bro, they don't seem to be just friends. They're not exclusive. It's not cheating. They're not. Okay, calm down. Okay, typical. This has to be the bisexual defense brigade in here. Oh, dude, it's just, you don't understand. That's not cheating. It's actually different. The word cheating is a little biphobic. I tweeted a storm, dude. I just been tweeting. Twitter fingers turned to trigger fingers. That's all I've been doing. I consider myself to be a janissary of woke, where I'm in the front lines, like I'm doing the dirty work out here, where I'm going to an area where wokes don't want to go to, which is like neo-Nazi, the neo-Nazi trenches of Twitter. And I'm out here posting. It doesn't matter how many times I get ratioed by Nazis, because it's basically impossible not to get ratioed by Nazis on the Nazi platform. But it's just me and Connor Eats Pants. We're out there in the front lines doing our very best. Okay. I thought you deleted Twitter. No, I have not. I mean, I had in the past, but I brought it back. But yeah, I have a lot. I've been tweeting up a lot. I said Asmonfold, even folding on his best friend. I defended Will Stansel's honor against raw egg nationalists making fun of him. I say y'all are pussies while he's a lion. You don't have to respond to every I do. Judge me by my enemies, you know? No, Connor only tweets once or twice a day. You're a psycho with it. Yeah, you are the commander. Stop tweeting at every random Harry. No, I will keep it, because like, while we're in the front lines, there are a bunch of other brigades out there. There's like the libtarded brigade, right? Like if we are the commie brigade in the front lines in the trenches, there's also still like the let's be more moderate brigade out there. And the let's be more moderate brigade out there is like constantly trying to attack their left flank for some reason while we're in the trenches, while we're in the heat of the battle. Instead of like dialing in, locking the in, and just attacking the right, there are still hella people on the libtard brigade that turn around, especially when it comes to Israel. Oh my lord, my Israel tweets really piss off the Israel first liberals. Like, it's so funny. They done lose their dang minds. I will never like Stancil, and you will never be able to get me to. He still keeps saying dumb shit, but I hope he keeps at the ice stuff. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care necessarily that he says dumb shit. Who cares? Who cares? Bro, you did Gal Gadot tweet numbers with that one? Which one? The Ice Reel tweet had them crashing out. I know. When I said the United States of Ice Reel, they lost their minds, and then I continued to describe. It was so good. It was such a good moment that it literally caused. Sean C talked about you on stream last night. Oh, what'd he say? Bro. That Ice Reel, United States of Ice Reel one did such crazy numbers that it got Nick Fuentes to come out and defend it. Like, it got Nick Fuentes to come out and like combat it. Gotta wait for the VOD, but it was regarding you and Los Polios. Oh, nice. Your Jacobin appearance was mentioned on Majority Report today. Hell yeah. Closed President, thank you for the 20 gift of subs. By the way, the United States of Ice Reel was coined by you on this broadcast. I baited you into thinking it was doing numbers. You made that mainstream. Okay, but I didn't come up with it. You guys did. And it made me excited. It made me so excited that I started using it, and now people are saying it. Yes, Nick Fuentes was defending Israel. It's not even a joke. Like, it's actually not. I've been saying ICEDF. Yeah, where is it? Hold on. Matt Petty had a really good tweet about this, actually, that I wanted to show you, because this is very funny. I retweeted it. But the Groypers and the Israel First liberals basically are on board with this. Look at this. Look. Not wanting anyone to connect our psychotic foreign policy for the past 3 years of the military-style occupation of an American city. Okay? I said ICE uses Israeli spyware and is actively trying to deport green card holders and students for speaking out against Israel. But of course, this shill is running cover for the ultra-Zionist pedophile admin once again. He responds with, low IQ Somalians who shouldn't even be here are stealing billions of dollars from Americans. This has nothing to do with Israel. You are left-wing trash that openly supports mass migration and abolition of ICE, but you're hiding behind anti-Zionism because that's more popular. Centrist and fan account. Guy who turns every single unrelated thing into Israel. Wow, obsessed with Israel much? Is that all you care about? And it's really funny because, like, it's perfectly valid to be consistently upset with Israel because Israel is consistently doing atrocities. Like, you can do this argument when someone is constantly going Alex Jones style, you know, Jew. Like, if they're doing that, then you can say that. But you can't really say that about Israel because it's a country. It's not only a country, but it's a country that has like a ton of influence over American domestic affairs. It's a country that's still doing a metric ton of evil with like American funds, right? We're its largest state benefactor. So of course, talking about Israel or using Israel as an analog for brutality and cruelty is perfectly appropriate, right? They're saying that because we say Israel is behaving like Nazis before the rest of the world did. I know. And it's not like the surveillance and the weaponry are identical too. So it's like the tactics are identical, the surveillance techniques are identical, the constant presence of being a force is identical. So none of them want to like address the analogy. They hate that you're using the analog. They hate that you're using the analog to begin with, but they have no counter to it because the shoe fits, right? So instead of actually addressing the analog and why it doesn't make sense, they just go, you're just bringing up Israel for no reason. Please don't bring up my favorite ethno-religious supremacist ethno-state, please. Why are you bringing it up? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep bringing it up. Eat my... All right. Have you read the Kanye West statement? I did. This lady was one of Cuomo's biggest... This lady was one of Cuomo's biggest defenders when a sex scandal was breaking out. She got to hate you. Yeah. Heidi Bachram. My husband, Adam Monet's relatives were murdered and taken hostage by Hamas. Find me on Substack. A Muslim. What do you expect? Oh, that's so funny. Like this is what I mean. Like, this is just like straight up. Can you imagine if I was running around being like, oh, that's a Jew. Of course they're saying that. You know what I mean? Like, I would understandably get ass blasted, right? Understandably. Because that's racist as... But if you're pro-Israel, you could just say that. If you're Islamophobic, you could just get away with saying whatever the you want to say, It's great. Wonderful stuff. That's a 4chan comment become tweet. I know. All right. I blasted off. Let's get it started because I'm already talking about my takes. I have the Kanye West tweet. Don't worry. New Fearon episode is out as always. Didn't even mention that Fearon was a banger. L promoter. Okay, dude, come on. Ye didn't tweet. He took out a ad, like a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize to the American Jews. Well, not just like American Jews in general, but he was just like, yeah, sorry, I was being bipolar. What I was saying, Adolf Hitler invented the microphone. Yeah, Yadolf apologized. He's just quirked up, man. He's like, my mistake. I had a long extended crash out due to my bipolar disorder. And I would like to be woke again, please. He was like, I went to the subreddits. Big mistake. I went to the r/bipolar subreddit and it fixed my bipolar disorder. Like, I'm no longer, he said, I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. But instead of gay, it's for anti-Semitism, Yeah, we'll obviously be talking about TikTok because the Amer-Israel years of lead is here. The Amer-Israel surveillance state, the Amer-Israeli surveillance state is here. Awesome. Love that. Why do people keep saying Barry Pack Watch? I tweeted a few weeks ago, I didn't think Barry Weiss would be a CBS by the end of the year, and I still think I'm right. Barry Weiss will hold an all-hands meeting. I think y'all are crazy if you think Barry Weiss is going. Maybe I'm wrong, but her entire purpose is like the editor-in-chief is literally to do what she's been doing. Everyone's fleeing to Upscroll, but it's Australian. Yeah, I know that it's an Australian Palestinian who owns Upscroll, but it's Australian app, so I don't trust it at all. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I would trust an application that was built in Russia or China more than I would trust an application built in Australia. Get mad at me all day, every day if you want, but those countries, at the very least, like with Telegram and whatnot, are outside of the boundaries of the American surveillance state. And like anything that you say about Israel is going to get suppressed in any platform. Like, Australia is literally part of Five Eyes. It will crack the whip. The only reason why Elon somewhat allows, all this like talk is because, well, one, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is now winning the good graces of the Ummah a little bit because they've decided that they are going to war with the United Arab Emirates again. And also they're no longer as like pro-Israel. And they are one of the major benefactors for Twitter. That's part of the reason. The other reason I think is because Elon is like, oh, I'm for free speech, so everyone can be a Nazi. I want everyone to be a Nazi. So that's like, I assume that's part of the reason why like Elon Musk is a little bit more open-minded about letting, Israel style sentiment to thrive. Bro, weird shit is happening out here. Thoughts? What is this? Raise hell, praise Dale, free Palestine, and ICE. Wait, what is this? Love my NASCAR leftist. What are you talking about? I'm so confused. Why are you sending me this stuff? This is a video game, isn't it? This is just a NASCAR video game. That's not like a real car. It has like John Brown on the hood, but you can't. NASCAR only turn left. True. Yeah, this was funny. Michael Cohen, not Trump's former fixer. I'm shocked to see an anti-Semite blame Jews for violence in America. Great job, John Favs, Tommy Vitor. Like, again, they got no response for this. It's just anti-Semitism. Okay, that's it. I said the siege on Minnesota is where you really see the West Bank occupation tactics on U.S. soil. Constant militarized ICE presence on the streets, illegal detentions, killing people trying to defend their neighbors, and labeling them terrorists. Fascism is colonialism turned inward. It's here. Now, the correct counter to this is to say, let's be real, we taught the Nazis a lot of our, eugenics movement, and a lot of our treatment of minorities on U.S. soil is what actually influenced the Nazis to do the Holocaust. And then, like, Israel carried on the tradition of fascism, and then now America has never really stopped doing fascism, but is basically just like accelerating its version of fascism. So it's not necessarily like America's learning from Israel. And that's true. There's truth to that. But none of these guys are even saying that. They're just mad that I'm making an analog between Israel, which is a very, very unpopular country, for the reasons why he just can't stop. Like, they got nothing. It's just they keep posting my good ass takes. They just keep posting these takes and going, nah. Why? I can't believe it. Why would you say such a thing? It's like, I'm saying it because it's true. And the reason why you can't counter it is because it's true. And that's why you just complain and you go, please, why won't somebody stop this man? They're just too lost in the sauce. They assume you're mentioning Israel for no reason. Yeah, I guess that's the mindset for them. It's like, oh, I'm using this as an opportunity to like disparage, the beautiful nation state of Israel, the most moral nation on the planet. And it's like, yeah, let me not elaborate on why your take is bad. It's just wah is bad. Yeah, the reason why it's all just like crying to the referees over and over again is because there is no counter to it. That's why they're just crying to the referees. And they think they can like bully Jon Favreau and Tommy Vitor over this. Tommy Vitor's response was really funny. I'm glad you could leverage this tragedy to nurse your grudge against a podcast that hosted someone you don't like at an event last November. And it's funny because it's like, it's funny because like, I know what their perspective is. You know what I mean? I know what I know where the Pod Johns are at. Like they are trying to do as good of a job as like maintaining a big tent in a way that like previous establishment Democrats have never even considered, right? Like the Pod Johns are, love it, hate it, doesn't matter, love it, leave it, whatever, right? No pun intended. They are actually trying to manage this like large big tent situation and lean heavily into the further left flank Democrats. Like they're pushing for a lot of Bernie-crats. They are totally on board with that. Okay. They see the writing on the wall. They see the necessity of like leaning into, some modest social democracy. Now they're not communists by any means. Okay. They're not like rugged anti-imperialists by any means. I mean, they worked for the Obama administration, even though like I would say that some of their opinions are like Quincy Institute adjacent, if you catch my drift, especially when it comes to foreign policy related stuff. Like it has been an interesting journey. Ben Rhodes seems to have evolved a little bit. Yeah, for sure. But Hasan, we can't trust libs. Brother, I don't think you guys understand. Okay, you can say this if you want, but they're the largest like self-IDing political movement. Okay. And not only are they the largest self-identifying political movement in this country, aside from, reactionary MAGA, okay, plenty of them actually are totally on board with the Bernie agenda, okay? So if like we don't have room to just like shutter our doors and gatekeep socialism and communism and like leftist ideology. Like, that's ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. Go fucking out there and convert people. Like, what is wrong with you? Because they are aligned. They just don't have the political education at all. Politics isn't really about trust. You shouldn't really trust anyone in politics. It's about having convergent interests when it comes to good policy. Yes, but it's not even just that. It's not even just that. Very rarely do you actually meet someone who is ideologically invested in and is well-read enough to be ideologically invested in like liberal capitalist democracy. Okay? A lot of these guys who are self-IDing as liberals are totally on board with like, you know, social democracy, for example. Like the people that are antagonistic towards like Medicare for all or any of these sorts of initiatives, any of these sorts of government initiatives that are just like incremental gains in the direction of social democracy that other comparable OECD nations already have by design, are insane people. They're not actually speaking to a real majority of liberals. You guys always go, oh, dude, these guys are all liberals. Like, we can't even align with them. They're not on board with us. And it's like, you have to understand that so many people, and I don't even just mean self-identifying liberals, I mean like conservatives even, are totally on board with left economic populism. It's just that you don't get to experience that because you don't get to broach the subject matter at all. And I'll give you the example of the MAGA parents that I had the conversation with. Like, the mom was straight up like pro free healthcare, free education after like an hour-long conversation. Okay? And white supremacy oftentimes is like the major hurdle to overcome here, but you have to give people the treats and the broccoli at the same time. If the broccoli itself is like, you know, converting people away from having white supremacist values that are fundamentally important to them, right? You have to feed them some treats ahead of time. You have to, like, you know, put a lot of cheddar on top of the broccoli or something, maybe some bacon bits. And the cheddar and bacon bits in this analogy would be free healthcare, like things that improve their material circumstances, right? That's what you have to put at the forefront of your movement. And then boom, do a switcheroo and go, hey, you like free healthcare? Okay, great. You're on board with us. But also, you can't be doing this like trans people. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to get healthcare too. So yeah, here's Groyper Nick Fuentes also defending Israel, saying Israel has nothing to do with ICE. And then also centrism fan account saying the same guy who turns every single unrelated thing into Israel. Wow, obsessed with Israel much? Is that all you care about? Meanwhile, MAGA mouthpieces who are openly pro-Israel are saying like this: the American left has completely adopted Palestinianism. Everything is done to provoke law enforcement for a clip to create martyrs. None of these people actually care about this guy beyond how useful his corp is in the fight against the orange man. I don't think these guys understand. Like, this is unironically, this is a person who's super edgy, but he's like supposed to be an alternative to Nick Fuentes, who just like says a bunch of Groyper shit, but is pro-Israel, right? Like, his role, Captive Dreamer's role, is to be a white supremacist who is pro-Israel and not anti-Semitic, right? Every now and then he'll like lean into the anti-Semitism a little bit in order to maintain the base, but his sole purpose there is to be a response, like a total industry plant response to Nick Fuentes' like, you know, unlimited anti-Semitism. He's a MAGA LARPer from Canada, a white supremacist loser. But what I think these guys don't understand when they say edgy shit like this is the association with like Palestinians in a time when like the overwhelming majority of Western populations now identify are more pro-Palestine than they are pro-Israel, right? When you make this association, this is one that is beneficial for us because this actually, in my opinion, can help some people in the margins identify with the resistance. It will make them reconsider why the resistance operates the way it does. Because could you imagine if the Trump administration was even more deadly? And the Trump administration was infinitely worse in its cruelty and its brutality over and over again, and its lack of interest, where Democrats had to literally, like, liberals and you know, anti-Trump people of all different shapes, sizes, and colors had to, like, you know, show their paperwork everywhere they went, and also had to drive on their separate lanes in the highway, and were constantly under the ever-present threat of a militant ICE. They would probably take up arms and start doing what you would consider, you know, an insurgency movement, what Americans consider terrorism, right? They would do that. Of course they would do that. What do you mean? There is no feeling more pure than the emancipatory need that every human being has, okay? It's the most understandable position that people can have, which is to emancipate themselves from the throes of a reactionary occupation. So when these guys go, this is Palestinianism, I think they're actually unironically making my argument for me. Yeah, it is Palestinianism, you idiot, because that's also a movement. Palestinians are the Palestinian resistance is a movement that is comprised of orphaned sons that get together and decide to militarily resist against a violent settler colony, a settler colonial occupation that is maintaining an apartheid in the West Bank and doing a genocide in Gaza. So yeah, in any case, so that's like another one of these things. Also, I saw this one. I had to dunk on this. This is my favorite style of dunking on the people that go, the concept of criticizing capitalism while she has a labubu dangling off her mic. I said, will defend capitalism and have no capital. Where's your deed to the factory, Jeff Bezos? I've just decided I'm going to make the stupid argument reversal every time. I'm going to do buyer logic every time because a lot of these dumb hogs only understand and respond to that kind of dumb argumentation. So I'm going to hit them with a dumb argumentation, you know? I've decided that's the smart move here. That's the appropriate move here. Is the smart move here. I'm just gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip it on them every time. You know. You are one of the few sin eaters of the world, Hasan. We will always be with you. Yeah. There was also another aspect of that sin eater, which is so funny because like Hood Genius has been getting canceled on Twitter. It's an account that like was an NBA Twitter account that's like been popping off for a while now. It turns out he's like, I think he's a Somali dude from Minneapolis. He's pretty young. And he's been getting canceled because in like 2011 or not 2011, 2021, when he was like 17, he was like saying, you know, being gay is a disease or like a mental illness or something. And it's very clear that he's not like that any longer. But people are like cynically posting his old tweets to be like, oh, dude, look at what you said when you were 17, like 5 years ago. And it's like, bro, people change, man. Let people change. I hate that, right? I hate that, right? And Dead Domain says, yeah, screenshots are forever. Being gay isn't a preference of disability, right? It's like objectively a homophobic thing to say. It's objectively up. It's objectively stupid. Who gives a He was 17. Like, it was 5 years ago. He's 17 years old. He's very clearly not that person, right? I hate this shit. So he said, I was 17 when I made that tweet at the time. Clearly, I don't have the same mindset as I did 5 years ago. I love y'all. And if you're offended to what I said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean no harm, right? And if you're one of these guys who still maintains this, like, vindictive attitude when you didn't even know about this person's past behavior at all, and you found out about it, and now you're like, well, f- this guy. There's no shot that this person can demonstrate growth. Then you're idiot. You're a loser. You also personally went through that journey. You're just fortunate enough that no one actually found out about your past. Okay. Let people grow. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because I responded to Dead Domain. Dead Domain said, we got to let this kind of woke hand wringing go. Let people grow and learn and change. Nobody's the same now as they were 5 years ago. We can't act like a tweet is enough to say this person is still bad when we should be building coalitions. And let me tell you something. Okay. The irony here is, I am one of those who for like at least the last like 13 years, like the most like reactionary you can point to that I've said is like from literally 13 years ago when I was trying to do a satirical like dating show that we very quickly deleted because it sucked, right? And they just like unearthed those videos and have constantly recirculated over and over again and be like, huh, remember when you were making these dumb jokes? And it's like, yeah, I do. I've talked about it quite a bit, actually. I've talked about it because it's growth, like, or that I've said that was transphobic, right? And, or not a dating show, like, but like a dating advice show, right? Like it was a bro dating advice show that was like satire, but it was bad. It was bad. Like it was just not good. But a lot of people love posting that to be like, oh, dude, like, look, we got you. You're a grifter. It's like, bro, that was 13 years ago. Okay, 13 years ago, you know? Yeah, let the kids be homophobic a little. Can't we just say it's a bad thing to do even though he was 17? Glad he grew and changed, but don't excuse his shit. No, this is not an excuse for what he did when he was 17, you moron. How are you a 54-month subscriber and still fail to comprehend what I'm saying? What I'm saying is constantly throwing that back in his face when it's very clear that that's not who he is any longer is unproductive, okay? It's unproductive. That's it. Everybody still, there is like a tendency though on the left where people do still want to reduce you to like your worst moments, you know, your dumbest takes, the silliest, dumbest, most reactionary things you've said. And I hate that. Anyway, I will always be a firm and committed believer in change. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I responded. I said, I think most people who still do this are reactionaries, but there's still a decent chunk on the left who fall for this kind of bait. It's so frustrating, right? To which Hood Genius went, Hasan is defending me? Ohio shock. Not gonna lie, I didn't know this was gonna happen. W Hasan. To which I responded with, lots of motherfuckers on this website don't have the faintest idea what my worldviews are. They just see the agenda heavy clips and never investigate further, Lamau. Like, this is my number one take. If there's one take that you can identify with me beyond, like, you know, Israel, it's this. This is my number one take, my most consistent position for the longest time. This is what I think differentiates me from a lot of my peers as well in this movement, or at least, like, I've been saying this since 2016. I've been saying this since 2014, 2015, 2016, right? So, like, let people grow and change, or have a commitment, have a firm commitment to the belief that people can grow and change from their past positions. That's unironically what I've been pushing for years and years and years and years, okay? You know, Destiny's been losing his mind. Sex Pestany's been losing his mind, like doubling down and saying, like, no, if you got shot, everyone would cheer, you know, all this stuff. And do something useful and still be a Hasan. It's, what is it? Where is it? Hasanabi calls out, made omni-liberal fully mask off openly. Hasanabi's call out made omni-liberal, Sex Pestany, fully mask off, openly endorsing violence and self-harm rhetoric. Hasan gets shot, all of us will clap. Hasan should TOS. All streamed on YouTube, a platform where he's already demonetized. To which I responded with, because he was saying, like,
all of the foreign interference that is just happening openly. The Chinese Communist Party for his little paid vacation trip with him and the rest of his little streamer to China, until he has publicly announced and addressed that and talked.
I think it's pretty funny that none of this is even remotely, like, he's not even hiding under the guise of, like, political disagreements or whatever. He's just very mad. He's just incredibly mad. He's mad that I have the capacity to go on a trip to China with my friends. This is just him revealing his own personal insecurities. And he's not even doing a very good job trying to make it seem like this is a real political perspective either. Okay? And in this process, he just says I'm a paid agent of the CCP.
About it, I have no idea why the f you would want this guy anywhere near any of your liberal.
This is exactly like when he was malding, when he wasn't invited to the DNC and he lost his mind and he was like, why are you guys inviting Hasan to the DNC? You should be inviting me instead. Does anyone have that clip? It's the same shit. It's always the same shit. He's just so mad.
Protests. Absolutely. One of the hugest issues that this country has right now is all of the foreign interference that is just happening openly on all of our social media platforms by the same countries that paid this loser to go and do a shill who couldn't even go through with it. He couldn't even let the guy rape his neck, okay, at the stupid chiropractic place because he knew how bullshit the stuff that he was promoting was. But he was getting paid too much, compensated too much by the Chinese government to say no, okay? So
wait, this doesn't even make sense. So I was getting paid by the Chinese government to have my neck get cracked in, like, the Chinese traditional medicine. Also, he has watched every part of the streams that I did in China. So thank you. Thank you, Sex Pestany, for watching my IRL streams. Okay, that's a fan right there. That's number one. Number two, that's a fan and he's crashing out. But also, I was paid for it, but I didn't go through with it because I'm a pussy. But then also I was still paid for it anyway. Like, how does this work? You watched more than me? Okay, don't reveal that you didn't watch all of my IRL streams in China. Those were goated, okay?
This guy, letting him anywhere near your protest. Let's go hang out with Republicans. Go to the dangerous places and get shot. Okay, all of us will clap for you, I promise. All right, go to the Republican places. Go to the edgy places. Go hang out with tankies or whatever. But stay the away from liberal protests.
Stay away from liberal protests. This is literally identical to him yelling about come on, someone has to have the clip where he was crying about the DNC. Why is the DNC inviting him? That's my job. Why won't the DNC invite me? Why won't the DNC invite me? Don't go to the liberal protests. Those are my protests. Okay, you go out there then, big dog. The f do you mean? Why aren't you going out to the protests? I mean, probably not the best idea to have a genuine, real-ass sex pest out there at the protest, but is this the one?
Off. See, and then people go, I don't see the issue. Should he not research and debate a topic? It's like, bro, it's about exercising a level of like, it's about being a little bit more responsible with your...
More responsible? Excuse me, August, this is the part of the YouTube video where you roll the clips about him calling every single person that disagreed over the hospital bombing that he, by the way, ascertained exactly what happened in 2 hours.
Wait, no, this isn't the right one. This is him being wrong again about Israel. This is the one that I was looking for.
Stop platforming people that are not supporting your candidates. You are private political parties.
This is the backbone of liberalism in the United States of America, or at least he fancies himself to be that person. Complaining that the DNC is inviting me.
Stop platforming people that are not supporting your candidates. You are private political parties. You're supposed to be self-interested, okay? The whole reason you have superdelegates and shit is to protect your elections, right? Stop inviting people to your events that hate your candidates. Don't do that. Stop doing that. It's retarded. Stop highlighting these people. Stop platforming these people. Stop spotlighting these people. Let them go to is it SDA, the Socialist Democratic Party of America?
Brilliant guy. What is it, the SDA?
Let them go do events with those people. Jesus. Why would you cuck out so hard to these losers? Hasan shouldn't be anywhere near the DNC. Brianna Joy Gray, I don't know if she gets invited to shit. Nobody from Breaking Points, Kyle Kulinski included, I'm sorry. Maybe, actually. I'll give him... he's a little over the wall for me. Maybe he could come back, though.
Wow. Brother, who died and made you responsible for who gets an invite to the Democratic Party? Like, why does he think he gets to have a say on here from the outside? Bro wasn't even invited to the DNC, and he's just he's hating from outside the club. He can't even get in. He's like, oh, I'm the liberal gatekeeper. Why are you inviting these people? Invite me.
Yeah, anybody related to I don't know where Sam Cedar was. Actually, Sam Cedar is so poisoned by the people around him that, no, even he shouldn't be anywhere. Yeah, none of these people should be anywhere near, because if you're the Democratic Party, you have to support the people that are supporting you, okay? Like,
bro's like the Reddit mod for the DNC. I mean, he is. That's his Reddit mod was the one. That's the reason why Stale 2000 speaks the way he does and carries himself the way he does, because he's a super fan of this dipshit. They're all the same.
Like, one of the things that you guys, I hate being a cock. I hate being a cock. But I have to remind you guys of this, okay? I have to remind you guys because you have to understand this, okay? Because you take me for granted, all right? You take my psychological tenacity for granted. It is incredibly difficult to be out there on your own, okay? With no major backing, no major political communities, nobody else on the internet. That is an incredibly difficult thing to do. So if you're the Democratic Party and you're backing people that hate your candidates and you're not providing any support to people that support your candidates...
It's so funny. This is like anyone that watches Destiny's commentary and thinks they're getting a political education is just as dumb as the MAGA supporters are, okay? It's just his own personal envy, his own personal resentment, and this incredible self-entitled attitude where he's like, why is the Democratic Party not listening to me? A guy who's in the throes of a court battle right now for distributing revenge porn. Like, why aren't they coming to me? A guy who's written a manifesto about how white people should be able to say the N-word. A guy who says every slur under the sun with regular frequency. A guy who has collaborated with Nazis and openly flexed how they revitalized Nick Fuentes' career and how Nick Fuentes should be sucking his dick. A guy who may or may not have actually sucked Nick Fuentes' dick. We don't know. A guy who in that court battle that we were talking about, it came out that he was procuring child sexual abuse material. This is the person who thinks he is the gatekeeper of the Democratic Party. A guy who is literally outside and cannot get in. A guy who regularly doxes people that he does not like, regardless of their political perspectives. A person who is just self-interested through and through. You are not going to get a solid political education from a person like this. He's very good at debating. I've said this many times over. But being a good debater does not mean that he is very knowledgeable. Being a good debater does not mean that he has good political instincts. He has horrible political instincts. He's not very knowledgeable about the issues he speaks on. He is, however, very confident. And not only is he very confident, but he can just like scour talking points from a Wikipedia article and then throw them and gish gallop in real time and commit to a litany of different debate offenses, right? That he can rationalize in the moment on the spot. And that's what makes him a good debater. But more often than not, he's too busy cucking himself because he can't keep his dick under control, and he's sociopathic and self-interested to the maximum degree. So he just keeps destroying what his career could be like. If this man had any real intellectual prowess and any interest in actually doing something, okay, instead of saying all this shit, okay, doing all this like dumb shit, you know, procuring CSAM, things of that nature, he could have been dean. Destiny's take on degenerate animals whining about not having any Palestinians speak at the DNC.
Sherlock, after the way the lines, the insane, all the sloganeering, you with the Houthi interviews, like what Antifa rally, like yeah, no shit, Sherlock. After the way that you animals have conducted yourselves, the Hamas chants, the Houthi slogan signs, the insane, all the sloganeering, you with the Houthi interviews, like what? Yeah, what do you think? Like, well, okay, well, can you just let one of us? Can you just let one of us on stage come and just like, well, you could vet us for? Yeah, no shit. You guys acted like insane people. Why the would you ever expect to have a seat at the table with the grown-ups? How would an unfathomably crazy state? That would be like me being indignant that Barack Obama and Biden won't sit down with me for an interview because you're mad at some tweets. Really? Come on. Okay, who cares? You guys are old. All right, we've all a few kids in a video game. Them over in a video game. Hello, in Call of Duty. All right.
They were like, no, sorry, we have a cop who literally was doing DIY like sex trafficking operations. As he says, sitting at home, not invited to the DNC. But that's it. He was a Biden dead ender as well. For those of you who don't remember, he also urged Biden not to drop out. He was a Biden dead ender. He said Biden was never going to drop out. He actually famously did that Jubilee video where he talked about how Biden wasn't going to drop out, and he was like debating all these people. And then Biden dropped out by the time that the Jubilee video came out. Like, he's just an angry cuck. He is an angry cuck that immediately drops as many heinous things as he possibly can about anyone who has ever offended him, anyone who's ever made him feel small, anyone who's ever made him feel weak. It's pure spite-driven politics. No political ideology beyond what he perceives as the best possible lane to be as edgy as possible, while simultaneously hopefully getting invited every now and then to the liberal liberal events and things of that nature without being deplatformed. It's ridiculous. LSF thread full of people agreeing with Destiny that people should stalk and harass Hasan in public. Totally not a brigade of shithole, in my opinion. What is this? Hasanabi noticed Destiny encouraging his fans to bully and track Hasan at protests. The other comment calling this out. This was a comment got Ninja removed by a moderator. Anytime a comment mentions ex-girlfriend Hasan redacted name that had law enforcement called on her, not speaking on him, it also gets removed. Yeah, I wonder why, because it's bullshit. Is Janice Griffith? Yes, the porn star. Can you give the rest of the context? He called cops on her, giving him the silent treatment. Yes, he called a fake wellness check because she wouldn't reply to his text out they broke up. That's shocking. Again, total bullshit. And not only is it total bullshit, Janice has literally asked for people not to bring this up. That she has personally debunked it and hates that people keep bringing it up, and has even said like she feels bad that she even said it at the time. Don't worry, in a super convenient fashion for Hasan, the mega viral post here today shitting on the Democrats while in Minnesota also got removed for a clickbait title, while much more dead posts remain. Awesome stuff going on. I love that these guys still circle jerk about how this sub is like supposedly defending me. But yeah, ultimately, the entire thread is just like every time there's a thread of me on LSF, the Reddit bots go crazy and they're like, no, he deserves everything. He is the worst person of all time. Yeah. Ethan Klein is currently boosting the hit piece he had. His PR firm right about Hasan from a relationship, despite the subject of the article spending the last few days repeatedly begging to be left out of it as discussing sexual harassment from the H3 community mounts. Did you really not read my tweet I just posted? I just asked to be left out of it. Hasan is fine. We have no bad blood. I thought it was shitty, but stop using me as a gotcha for him. People make mistakes, but I've been begging to be left out of it, so leave me out of it. It's been 7 years. I'm over it. You should get over it too. Being this upset about strangers on the internet is not healthy for you, but it's not. I literally asked to be left out of it in the screenshot. The original tweet says Hasan whatever girlfriend, but it's been 7 years. He isn't a bad person. We were both younger and people make mistakes. It's not fair to demonize him on my behalf when I don't. Yeah, you can because I'm over it. Should have handled things differently. I don't think he's a bad person. People are allowed to grow. I don't appreciate being a gotcha for someone. I genuinely feel bad for Hasan because his entire audience is crazy. People love or hate. They are bananas. Right, Lamau? It also wasn't 4 a.m. for me. I'm name searching to submit my new DMCA takedown service. It's a hell I'd never choose for fun, but I'd love not to have hundreds of thousands of stolen views. This isn't fun for anyone. What is this? Yeah. Anyway, it's just like the type of shit that I have to deal with on a daily fucking basis. People just like, what is this? Damn, you actually dated Janice? Base Chud Mager? What the Yeah, also, I wonder if Ethan Klein will have any response to this. Destiny, quick daily reminder that Ethan from H3H3 is likely a pedophile who has molested his own children. That's what he said. It's so funny that these guys are terrified of ever. It's so funny that these guys are so terrified of crossing Destiny. I've never said anything remotely as heinous as this, okay? Let's see how much Ethan Klein, formerly known as Pedo Troll, responds to this shit, okay? Let's see. I doubt it. They're just saying it's just his rhetorical style. I used to watch a lot of Destiny. This is pretty obviously satire trolling. His point is that Ethan jumped to the conclusion that Destiny's a pedophile without sufficient evidence in his opinion, so he's doing the same to make a point. That's my take, at least. I think that's likely as well. That's his rhetorical style. LSF was full of people believing him the other day when he jokingly said he should become a Nazi from an out-of-context clip. He's trolling. The point is that Ethan made a VOD about him knowing. Dude, all of his fans do this, where it's just like an endless debate. An endless debate over some of the dumbest things that he says over and over again. Things that he knows are indefensible. Things that he knows are fake. It's awesome. Yeah, if you want to see him claim Fuentes, by the way, here's the proof once again.
That's something he'll have to learn and grow. Not to sound like not to be too self-aggrandizing, but like Fuentes should be worshiping me because I am literally I was the only lifeline that he had to like being able to breach like mainstream political conversations. Like I represented a huge potential opportunity to him, and he just was so bad faith in the way that he treats me. It's unbelievable. I don't know why he would do that. Like he should have been so conciliatory towards me, and I'm not looking for that. I'm not asking him to be anything, but for him to be like relentlessly bad faith against me all the time, I'm like, bro, who the like I can put you on a stream in front of 14,000 people. Like I'm giving you your phone number to like Adam 22 so you can go to a show. Why the you like burn my shit so hard? Like you're so stupid.
And how Nick Fuentes, who is also a neo-Nazi, and so yeah. Now let's get to the real news. Trump is going to send border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
Tom Homan to Minnesota tonight. He has not been involved in that area.
He's going to eat everybody. I'm going to Minnesota. I'm there. I'm going to see if there's any immigrants there. I'm Tom Homan.
But knows and
you got arrested in China? No, dumbass, I didn't. They lied and said I got arrested in China.
Likes many of the people there. Tom is tough but fair and will report directly to me. This is a notable development, particularly because Homan, as the president pointed out, has not been the one on the ground leading the...
Where's Hammer and Sickle Hat? I not CCP? No, I am ideologically favorable towards any anti-capitalist initiative, okay? Make no mistake. This is not a secret. I say it all the time. Do you understand? Although I do have criticisms of the Chinese government with regular frequency, I think we can learn some lessons from the central planned economy that China has. Okay? One that actually focuses on improving the material conditions of the working class rather than improving the bottom line of billionaires. That's my point. It's not a secret. None of this is a secret. And it's not exactly a favorable position to hold in the United States of America, at least for now. It's becoming more of a favorable position, okay? It's becoming more and more of a favorable position every single day, especially with the American government's... The more the American government does awful, heinous crimes against humanity, crimes against its own citizens, the more people go, maybe China ain't so bad. But none of the positions that I've held for the last 10 plus years were positions that were super favorable, okay? There was no like socialist movement in this country in 2016, pre-Bernie especially. There was nothing, okay? It was dead. It was nothing. Now there is one. And a lot of people worked tirelessly, brick by brick, to build something here. That's why it's so funny when all these dumb will turn around and be like, oh, he's just saying it because it's popular. Bitch, when the was it popular? America's the most pro-capitalist country on the planet. The heart of empire. When has anti-imperialism been popular in America?
these ICE operations. And this is really kind of a departure from the faces of what has been going on in Minnesota. One, Gregory Bovino, he is the border commander at large, but also the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. They have been the ones that have been really out there publicly defending the ICE officers in the wake of the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy on Saturday, but also the fatal shooting of Renee Good earlier this month. And this could potentially also signal a change in strategy. One, we should note that Homan is not as hardline on ICE operations as Noem and Bovino have been. We also, CNN has reported that Homan and Noem have clashed and have been at odds many times over the last year regarding.
Yeah, they're claiming that there is like internal instability between the DHS and ICE. Okay, this is the new meta. Like, it's just, I'm not so certain. I think I think it's, yes, kayfabe is right. I think it's kayfabe. I think it's like kind of phony, because ultimately whatever Trump says goes, right? And if there's any sort of inconsistency here, any sort of like friction here, that's most likely born out of the fact that Trump is too busy, I don't know, trying to conquer Greenland or something. And he's just delegated all matter of border patrol and ICE activity to Stephen Miller. And there are people that have differences in opinion on how these operations should be conducted. But it's very obvious that like Operation, what was it? Like Metro Hammer or whatever. I forget what the operation is called in Minneapolis, but like that operation was very clearly designed. Metro Siege, right? Is that what it is? Metro Surge. Yeah. So Operation Metro Surge was established in December 2025, last month, and it's been going on for the last month, for the last like almost 30 days now, and it was very clearly designed to dominate and to punish the people in the Twin Cities, right? Like, that's what it's for. It's very open. Like they're doing a constant presence. They're doing force projection on American citizens, and they're harassing people. And I think that's frustrating to some people within the DHS infrastructure that actually just want to purge the American boundaries of every black and brown person. Like, there are the real white nativists inside of the country, and then there are the ones who are just like, no, we should dominate blue cities. And they're kind of at odds with one another, I think. No one genuinely thinks that they're like deporting criminals, obviously. They all know better. They know how this stuff works. But as a Minneapolis resident, you are wrong. We remember Mr. Homan's valiant service under Obama. We will gladly accept him with open arms. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Remember when Obama gave Tom Homan a medal? And then liberals get so mad at me. Like, do you care about the excesses? Is that all you care about? Or do you actually care principally about the concept of like purging the boundaries of migrants instead of like documenting them? But yeah, as I said yesterday, and this is from DC Examiner, so they're probably leaking it. All Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis are being sent home per sources. DHS CBP have not responded to email. This comes after federal sources told me over the weekend that agents were told their deployment would extend into February. Major change in less than 24 hours. Yeah, I think that direct action gets the goods. I do feel like the big show of force, and then also the Alex Preddy murder and the response to Alex Preddy's murder is causing these guys to back away. But we shall see. We shall see how this goes. That's what I was trying to signal yesterday, and a lot of people got mad at me and said, "Oh, what do you mean?" Like, no, I think it's because Trump realizes how unpopular this shit is. He does not like this level of bad press, because while there are people out there who are like, yeah, kill everybody that's a race traitor to the whites or whatever. Six Buzz is reporting on you this afternoon regarding UBC talk on February 12th.
Moments ago, Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that. That is a critically important development.
Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Preddy, the brave men and women of federal...
Why? You guys said that they were terrorists. Wouldn't you want terrorists to be killed? I'm so confused. This kind of feels inconsistent. Are they terrorists that deserved what they got? Or is it an unfortunate incident? Because this seems like it's a major backpedal. Hold on now. I've been watching Asmongold for the past couple of weeks, and he's been saying, "F around and find out." Now the government is saying it's an unfortunate incident. I thought it was FAFO time. What happened? What happened? I thought it was FAFO. The left has been arguing for years, literal decades, that the designation terrorist was bound to be expanded to refer to anyone someone in power disagree with. It is a term without referent or definition. Really, libs should listen sometimes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we've been saying that. I've been getting called a terrorist nonstop anyway. Terrorism just means guy I don't like that I think I can deny due process to. That's all that means.
Law enforcement and the many Americans who have been victimized at the hands of illegal alien criminals. Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out. But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor Jacob Frey and other elected Democrats were spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets: murderers, rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang members. Governor Walz and Mayor Frey have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who are just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world to flood into our country. Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families. Yet we never saw outrage from Democrats or their allies in the liberal media over these horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens. The pain of American angel families was ignored and dismissed.
An undocumented immigrant did a murder inside of the U.S. boundaries, which means we now have to prosecute, apprehend, detain, and possibly denaturalize every Somali American. Does this argument make sense at all? No. If it does, you might be a MAGA Republican, okay? Angel families is what they're saying is like families who have family members who have died to died at the hands of an undocumented immigrant. That's what they're saying, okay? That's Laken Riley. That's why they called the Laken Riley Act because Laken Riley was a nursing student, I believe, who was killed by an undocumented immigrant. And they used that example to propagandize against every undocumented migrant on U.S. soil, despite the fact that undocumented immigrants are responsible for a much, much lower percentage of crimes per capita than natural-born U.S. citizens are. And it's crazy because in the process of like supposedly going after undocumented migrants because they're all criminals that are doing, violent crimes and stuff, they're killing Americans. They're killing American citizens. It's ridiculous. More people died in ICE custody in 2025 than undocumented migrants killed in 2024. Yes. The number of violent crimes that undocumented migrants engage in on U.S. soil is so marginal that it is insane that anybody ever brings it up. Like it is like a statistical anomaly. And if you ask Donald Trump, he says hundreds of thousands of people are being killed by undocumented migrants every year. The real number is like 25, okay? That's how insane it is. That is how insane it is. And that includes documented and undocumented migrants. And that includes like vehicular manslaughter and shit. Okay? No, 25, not 2,500, not 25,000, 25. 25. If you ask the Trump administration, they keep saying it's 100,000 a year. Yeah, sorry, it's 28. Only 28 murder convictions on non-citizens, documented and undocumented in 2025. It's ridiculous.
Because it undermined the Democrat narrative. Innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungray, Laken Riley, and Rachel Morin are just a few.
Can I have a source of my chud friend? Yes, it's called the Department of Homeland Security's own website. At least for the time being, they still have accurate data on it. But yeah, that's where it comes from. No, this is customs-and-border-patrol.gov.
Of the many
website
victims
you designed? Yeah, I designed the entire Department of Homeland Security's website.
savagely murdered by illegal
I didn't just design it. I'm the software engineer.
alien criminals. Earlier this month, an illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the skull of an 8-year-old innocent child. President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes. Nearly 80 million Americans voted for him to deliver on that very promise, and he is. As the duly elected president, the president is fulfilling the will of the people by arresting and removing these threats from our country in cities from Los Angeles to New York and, yes, Minneapolis. Yet
I need you to remember something. 90% of all of the immigrants that are apprehended have no criminal record whatsoever, or I believe it's like 92% now. And the 8% of undocumented immigrants that are apprehended by ICE that have a criminal record are either for minor issues after they've served their sentence and they weren't slated for deportation because it was just nothing, or they're literally carrying out their sentence in prison right now, and the Trump administration is going after them to pad the stats. They're going after undocumented migrants that already are in prison and accelerating their deportation process before they carry out their prison sentence completely. They're taking them out of prisons to deport them just so they can say, see, we're deporting the evil criminals that the Biden administration did not prosecute. They make it seem like they're grabbing them off the streets. That's not the case. They're getting them from the prisons, okay? They are getting them from the prisons in order to pad the stats. But because they can't pad the stats, because undocumented migrants don't do that many crimes in general, as opposed to regular natural born U.S. citizens, that they don't even have enough. So it's 92% no criminal record and 8% with criminal record, but they're already in prison. All of it is a lie.
Democrat leaders in Minnesota with sanctuary city policies have actively defied federal immigration law and the will
like this guy.
Of the people. And as a result of that defiance, 2 Minnesotans have now tragically lost their lives on the streets of Tim Walz's state. It is President Trump's hope and wish.
We sent ICE just to punish a blue city that was doing great, but it's still the fault of the blue city because it was existing. We sent our Gestapo agents to dominate people, to lay siege on a blue American city where, the Gestapo agents actually ended up killing 2 American citizens, but that's still the fault of the city itself. Get the out of here, man. Good luck getting your injections in prison, Caroline. Oh my God, I wish for the day that I see all of these assholes behind bars. Oh my God.
And demand for the resistance and chaos
Is it me or is KKK Caroline getting fatter? Isn't she pregnant, Chad?
And today. That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning. And he has
I don't care. She's a fascist. I don't care about her weight fluctuations, okay?
Outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number 1, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number 2, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly...
Bro, this is literally always, this is the Trump method through and through, okay? Get in there, up, everybody hates you. Then you basically go back to the people and you say, hey, give me something that makes me look good and we'll pull out. It's the same with China, with the Chinese trade, with the China terrorism that Donald Trump engaged in. It's the same here in Minnesota. Goes in, everything up. People get very frustrated. People push back. He's like, okay, this is getting a little too unpopular for me. And now just give me something. Give me anything. Like, oh, yeah, we'll just keep getting criminals out of your prisons to make it seem like we're deporting all these heinous criminals that we find on the streets. And then that's it. Same with Greenland as well.
Every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground.
Wait, what? This is a genuine question. How could you properly prosecute someone who is undocumented if they don't have any documentation in the USA? Like, doesn't that make reporting our stats naturally lower? I love you. Please don't take this as bad faith. Wait, what do you mean? What? No, they still get processed, chatter. You know, tourists do crimes too, right? Like tourists on a proper visa or immigrants on a visa, they still have the capacity to do crimes. Like, what do you think happens? Like, that still gets counted. Non-citizens are not invisible in the system. Non-citizens still get counted. I just showed you. Here is all of the criminal alien statistics from the, wait, what is this? This is a fiscal year, all the criminal alien statistics from fiscal years 2017 all the way till fiscal year 2025. These are all the crimes that they've, like, by number, these are all the crimes that they've committed. And if you look at the last year, on sexual offenses, 127, driving under the influence, 1,734, burglary, robbery, larceny, theft, and fraud, 414, assault, battery, domestic violence, 700. So the total homicide and manslaughter, 23. These are all the crimes that non-citizens have committed. Okay, total criminal convictions by type. No, that's just CBP. You need to look at the ICE website too. No, this is all of it. This is all of it. It's not just like, they're not just finding them at the border, chat. This is all the crimes committed under the Department of Homeland Security's. The Department of Homeland Security looks at all the crimes that are committed that non-citizens have committed, and they tabulate it right here. Now you have to look at this. You have to look at this and then adjust it to per capita rates. If you want to understand, like, if you want to slot out, like, if your goal is to obviously reduce the number of crime that's happening inside of the United States of America, which is understandable. That's the goal of every responsible government. That's at least the theoretical goal of the Trump administration, right? Then you know, tackling it from like the propensity to crime due to like your immigration status is idiotic. But if you were to do that, which is what the Trump administration is claiming that they are doing, you realize that actually natural-born U.S. citizens are infinitely more likely to do. Like the ICE website, the ICE numbers will show all of the current non-citizens that are inside of the U.S. Boundaries that have done a crime, no matter when they've done the crime. We're looking at the likelihood to offend. Well, okay, thank you, chatter, for that meme. And if you want to know why that's the case, by the way, it's pretty understandable. It's not because undocumented immigrants are just like brilliant criminals and they are able to evade law enforcement better and they have like a magical secret to do crimes and then hide themselves after they do the crimes. The real reason is because undocumented migrants, understandably, are less likely to commit crimes because they know that if they do commit crimes, they'll get deported. No matter how big or small the crime is, they don't want to get deported. It's that simple. That is precisely the reason why they have a lower rate of crime per capita than natural-born U.S. citizens are. Natural-born U.S. citizens have.
In Minnesota, ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions. Additionally, President Trump is calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation ending sanctuary cities once and for all.
I wish you'd bring this up more when you're interviewing politicians, brother or sister or the emperor. This is what I bring up every time I interview a politician. Like literally every time. It is probably the most common statistic that I bring up. I said it directly to Ro Khanna in 2024 at the DNC, where I was like, why the f aren't you guys talking about this? It's one of the funniest like cell phones, one of the funniest like cases of national suicide when you actually take an anti-immigrant stance. It's ironic because the overwhelming amount of propaganda is that like immigrants are killing people, immigrants are doing crimes, but it's actually the exact opposite. When immigrants, both undocumented and documented, go to a city, the crime rate goes down, economic prosperity goes up. Immigrants also end up making sure that America doesn't fall into the same birth rate trap that other developed nations have fallen into. But that's what's so offensive to these white supremacists. So white supremacists in that instance will say, F it, I would rather die than live side by side with Mexicans. That's the whole point. That's where this resentment comes from.
The death of Alex Preddy is also reigniting the debate over government funding in Washington. Now, Democrats are refusing to vote for continued funding of ICE, and that could mean another partial government shutdown. Wei Zhang has more of that part of the story.
Following the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy, President Trump posted a flurry of statements accusing Democrat-run sanctuary cities of refusing to cooperate with ICE. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche blamed the chaotic shooting on a lack of assistance from local authorities.
ICE is doing all of this work, doing their jobs, and local law.
You guys know my policy on this. I don't think you're allowed to say Assistant Attorney General Todd Blanche. I think the appropriate thing for mainstream media to do is to update their lexicon, update their style guides, and to say former defense attorney for Donald Trump, current Assistant Attorney General Todd Blanche. Because both the Assistant Attorney General and the current Attorney General are former defense attorneys for the president. Okay? That's just the truth. And I think every media outlet, obviously CBS is never going to do that because they're dick riding Trump into oblivion, but every media outlet should always mention that. Because, once again, this is pertinent. It's important. It gives you an insight into what these guys' opinions might look like. Okay? These are Donald Trump's personal attorneys. There is no separation between the Department of Justice and the federal government or the White House. Okay? None whatsoever. And I think that corruption should be highlighted. Maybe call me naive for this take, but I think that should be highlighted. I think it's inappropriate not to highlight that. Okay?
Law enforcement are not being allowed to do a single thing to help.
Now, Trump is calling on Congress to immediately pass legislation to, quote, end sanctuary cities, what he calls the root cause of all these problems. But Senate Democrats insist the issue is the Department of Homeland Security's aggressive immigration enforcement tactics and say there must be a freeze in ICE funding.
We cannot fund a Department of Homeland Security that is murdering American citizens.
The Senate's 53 Republicans need the help of 7 Democrats or independents like Maine Senator Angus King, who's...
Yeah, I mean, they are going to get it from Fetterman. Fetty Wap man is definitely on board, right? Like, we already know that. But I don't think, oh God, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. Let's see what David Dayen's analysis is. News from inside the Senate Dems meeting tonight. Schumer has the votes to block the DHS funding bill. They're going to ask for real investigations into murders, including an end to impeding the state/local investigations and an end to mass and arrest quotas. Senate Dems will try to advance the other 5 spending bills, which are relatively bipartisan, without DHS. All of this would require Senate Republicans to agree and the House to come back and pass before Friday, both unlikely. I don't know how you're a Democrat and get reelected if you funded government funding to ICE after this. Chatter. The reason why Democrats are thinking that they can get away with this is because there's no other options and that they are marginally better than the Republicans. This is them demonstrating that they're marginally better than the Republicans, for the record. I just need you to understand that. And even then, this might not pass. Even then, they might cave. Okay? And the reason for that is because they also go on Twitter, I guess, or their consultants are on Twitter, and they demonstrate their perspective on a daily fucking basis. It's like this. The thing that makes Piker fans very similar to Trump fans is that they're impressed and even defensive of their idol's self-evident stupidity and lazy ignorance, so they just rely on popularity, subscribers, rally size to compensate for lack of intellectual or moral value. Explain why I'm wrong in this take. Can a single person address the point I'm making without crying about anti-Semitism, conspiracies, or a bunch of irrelevant, just one person, please? Nothing I mentioned there is actually wrong. I'm addressing Nick Fuentes going, ICE has nothing to do with Israel. And then I turn around and say, ICE uses Israeli spyware and is actively trying to deport green card holders and students for speaking out against Israel. But of course, this shill is running cover for the ultra-Zionist pedophile admin once more because he hopes that they'll make him the next Mark Levin. If you are a liberal, if you are a self-described liberal, okay, this guy's in the UK. I don't know what his background is. I don't know what his politics are, right? But if you are an American liberal and you're anti-Trump, if you're in the UK and you're anti-Trump, explain to me what is wrong about this argument. This has nothing to do with my audience size. The only reason why you're bringing that up is because you're annoyed that I have an audience and am able to say this with a platform and you haven't been able to deplatform me. That's the only reason why you bring that up. Yeah, where is he wrong? We've seen them scanning faces, bragging about the database they're creating, and they're trying to deport critics of Israel, Reza Öztürk and Mohammed Khalil. It's well known that Gaza is a testing ground for this tech. In good faith, can you explain what he said here is incorrect? It's literally a part of Project Esther, okay? This is a part of Project Esther. Jewish chatter here, you are 100% correct. I'm genuinely embarrassed by so-called liberal Jews who are attacking you this way. Yeah, because they're Israel first, dude. It's just like they get so offended. They get so offended about Israel. If you are not Israel first in your mentality, you don't look at this and go, this is. You look at this and go, even if you think you're Israel first, or even if you think that you care about Israel, okay, you would look at that situation and go, you know what? I do see the similarities here. Maybe I'll reconsider my allegiance to this ethno state that's doing an apartheid. That's the problem. But because they can't address any of the points that are being presented, they just have to like wildly swing at random that is utterly irrelevant. One person, please. One person. Project Esther is an off-branch, an offshoot of Project 2025, created by the same group, okay? The Heritage Foundation that wrote Project 2025 also wrote a separate project called Project Esther. Understand? Project Esther was utilizing the weaponized anti-Semitism smears in a way to tackle the First Amendment in this country. They wrote it just like they wrote Project 2025. But with the exception of PBS, now known as the Piker Broadcasting Service, by the way, please subscribe. Very little media outlets actually covered Project Esther because they all dick ride Israel into oblivion. Where is the conspiracy? They're saying it out loud. It's like saying, oh, you're telling me that ICE is being used to dominate blue cities that Donald Trump doesn't like, in an effort to potentially move the conversation away from the Epstein files that Donald Trump is currently doing his very best to protect? That's a conspiracy. That's not an argument. Explain why it's a conspiracy. You can't just say it's a conspiracy theory. Explain why it's a conspiracy, but you won't. These guys only can demand censorship. That's it. Yeah, also, even down to the Israeli spyware, inside ISIS tool to monitor phones in entire neighborhoods. Like all of the surveillance technology that these guys are purchasing comes from Israel. Almost all of them. Yeah, they're calling me a lot of names, but you know what they're not saying? That I'm lying, okay? Because they can't say it, because it's true.
The Border Patrol Commander, Gregory Bovino, and some of his agents are going to leave Minneapolis as soon as tomorrow. This is Tom Homan makes his way to the state. That was the president earlier today telling everybody that he was going to send Tom Homan there. Also, President Trump had a phone call today with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, calling on the governor to hand over all the criminal illegal aliens. But Walz claims his state honors all immigration detainers. Here's Caroline Levitt. She was in the briefing room earlier today.
This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. Governor Walz and Mayor Frey have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who were just trying to lawfully perform their duties. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal.
Just yesterday, Governor Walz compared immigration enforcement in Minnesota to the Holocaust.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Okay, so a little hyperbole there. Tomorrow is actually Holocaust Remembrance Day, so who knows what he'll come up with by.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No, I can't stand it. I can't stand this. No, you can't be Fox News and be woke on this, okay? You can't be Fox News and behave like you're fake woke on this. You are literally bringing about, you're actively defending the neo-Nazi administration doing Nazi. You can't turn around and be like, oh, wow, disrespectful to the Jews. Like, come on, dude. It just pisses me off. Bin Laden should have aimed at Fox News headquarters. Why would he? They're like this, bro. Two peas in a fucking pod. Bin Laden wishes he could destroy America half as good as Fox News does on a bad day. Are you kidding me? Remember, that's a consistent statement that I've maintained. It's like, if I hated America, if I was the biggest anti-American hater terrorist that these guys claim I am, I'd just be a Republican. Why would I be anything else? I would just be a Republican. I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, more tax cuts for the wealthy, please. Oh, white people are under attack. Let's go and do a domestic occupation on a blue city.
But Jesse, the president also put out a Truth Social statement saying that they had a good call and that they have some sort of way forward, hopefully, and maybe the Border Patrol leaving, if that happens to turn out to be the case, maybe that's one of the steps forward.
I'm very glad Walz called the White House, and they're both using the same word, which is cooperation, and that's all we've ever asked for. Hopefully we can just dial things back, we can get some cooperation.
Why?
And people...
Why? Things were going so well, I thought. Why, Jesse? Why is there need for cooperation now, Jesse? Things were going great.
People aren't needing to get hurt. He's not telling the truth, though, about the state. State corrections only cooperates after an illegal has been convicted and served their sentence. The city jails and the county jails do not cooperate, and they release dangerous illegal criminals into the streets, and that's why ICE is having to conduct these dangerous manhunts. But both sides need to change tactics. The governor of Minnesota is in open rebellion. He has called ICE agents Nazis. He's told the people to get in their face and to kick them out of the state. And now it's like a low-level insurgency. There's very sophisticated communication tactics. There's like food drops. There's supply chains. It's crazy. They have stormed into churches. They have broken into hotels. They've looted cars. They've lit fires. They've kicked. They've bit off fingers of federal immigration police. So it's out of control. And now they're aiding and abetting dangerous foreign nationals who are fugitives from justice. And what ICE needs to do in order to change tactics is stick and move. You're sitting ducks for 6 weeks and you have no backup from feds. And
Wait a minute. What? I'm so confused. Wait, what? I thought it was going well. I thought it was fine to just like dominate a blue city and kill a bunch of civilians in the process, kidnap random people, American citizens, migrants alike, on the basis of whether or not the most Hispanic ICE agent in any given moment has decided you are actually white enough or not. You know, because that's what the calculation is. Okay, you got a dude, a Hispanic dude, wearing the CBP banner, ICE banner, going up to random people and being like, "You have an accent, bitch. So do you. The do you mean I have an accent? So do you." Arrest you! Arrest you! Arrest yourself! What do you mean? Unfree you! It's so stupid. Ay, ay, ay. I thought that was fine. What's going on? Stick and move. Interesting.
You have no backup from the locals. And you've announced to the entire country that you are in Minneapolis. You don't need to do that. You need to be more stealthy.
No one's gonna know. Hey, dude, you're such a moron. And I do think Jesse Waters is like unironically stupid, so he doesn't know better. The whole point of this was to do a show of force. It's called force projection. It wasn't to actually do immigrant apprehension, asshole. That had nothing to do with it. That's why they went to Minneapolis, you dingus. The whole point is not to be stealthy. It was literally, first of all, the notion of doing stealthy deportations is so crazy. It's like how are you going to do that? You're just going to have like 1,000 guys show up. 1,000 of the fattest guys show up all of a sudden in your backyard, driving around in Jeep Wagoneers, okay, with lights on them and then start kidnapping people. They would get shot, okay? They would unironically probably get shot. They'd be like, what the f***? We got a bunch of random unmarked cars and a bunch of dudes in like military gear not giving us their identification at all. They're masked and they're going around. They're going around and kidnapping our neighbors. You would get domed in that situation. That's an easier way to get domed, in my opinion. Okay? But that's not the purpose anyway. Not only is it not feasible, but it's also not the purpose. The reason why the DHS was like, yeah, go get him, Tiger. 3,000 of the fattest Hitlerian Nazis are now going to be in your town. The reason why they posted that was because the purpose of this is not to actually deport anybody, really. The purpose of this is to bully, humiliate, and hurt Minneapolis. That was the point. So it kind of ruins the purpose of this operation if you're doing it stealthily, which you can't even do anyway.
Like a boxer does not stand in the middle of the ring with
terrorize.
his hands down and just gets hit and just gets hit. Or even Tyson had head movement, okay? He had defense. He can hit hard, but you move away. That's what they need to start doing. The guy who brings a loaded firearm concealed into a dangerous fugitive operation is crazy. You do not bring a loaded gun and start violently and physically resisting and obstructing a manhunt, okay? Anybody who knows, you have a concealed permit, and some guy is confronting you as federal enforcement, you say, here are my hands, I have a loaded weapon on me. And you wait for further instruction. You do not actively, physically resist. Now, you watch the video, and it's very, very chaotic. It may have looked like they might have disarmed this guy during the scuffle. You have whistles blowing, you can't hear anything. You hear gun, 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 gun. You know, the guy, anytime guy says gun, 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 and the subject pulls his arm back, you don't know if he's reaching. So obviously they're going to be doing a big investigation. They're going to find out what happened. We're going to look at the body cam. But it is not a clear-cut situation, and it's very divisive. It's partisan the way they're...
It's not. The only reason why this is partisan is because Republicans are stupid, okay? I'm in a YouTube stream from the No Kings guys, and it has 70K live viewers. Hell yeah. I don't know what that is, but more power to them, brother. I think that whole Nick Shirley content cycle catastrophically backfired. I mean, everything that this admin is doing is backfired. Oh, wait, let's get back to Bovino and Bovino.
Law enforcement.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him, and dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, brandishing like that and impeding their work that they were doing.
Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller went further, calling Mr. Pretty a would-be assassin. Now, keeping him honest, it sounds terrifying. An armed man, a would-be assassin, brandishing a weapon, coming at officers, wanting to massacre them, bent on doing maximum damage. He's then shot in self-defense and immediately given medical attention. Now, none of that is true. We know that. Here's what the video from several different angles actually shows. We first see Alex Pretty observing the action, apparently recording it, and from time to time directing traffic through the scene. He was not brandishing the handgun that he was lawfully carrying in the holster in the small of his back, and he did not approach officers. Those agents approached Pretty. He had a cell phone in his right hand and nothing in his left. Federal authorities now have the phone and whatever video that he might have carried. However, they have not said what he managed to film, nor have they revealed what was on the body cameras that some of the border officers were wearing. And again, Pretty did not approach the officers. The video shows him moving to assist a woman who officers had shoved and knocked down. Officers pepper sprayed the both of them. They took him to the pavement too. One agent found his weapon on his waist. As we mentioned, it was in a holster. And again, to be clear, he was a lawful gun owner with a carry permit.
Additionally, and this is crucial, as you see in the slowed down video, a federal officer took it from him before the shooting and before knocking him to the ground and piling on him and pummeling him in the head with a metal canister. None of the Border Patrol agents seemed aware he even had a gun. And then in the space of about 5 seconds, two agents fired 10 shots, killing him. At one point, for some reason, you see one of the officers clapping several times. We've circled that in the video.
I cannot believe that people like genuinely looked at this and still try to defend this as anything but a execution, man. Like, even the fact that they're mag dumping as he's dead on the ground, like 10 shots, and the guy is like backing up and still mag dumping into his lifeless body on the ground.
Counting bullet wounds or expressing confusion about who had Preddy's gun.
And yeah, they didn't even render him aid, but instead rolled his body over.
All in all, virtually nothing that the administration said in the immediate hours after this killing matched up with what the video showed. And when it was revealed that Alex Preddy was carrying his weapon lawfully, administration officials were highly critical of anyone carrying a weapon in the first place.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you wanted.
He brought a semi-automatic weapon to a riot.
I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign.
Now, keeping them honest, that is not what we are accustomed to hearing from any of those three. In the case of the FBI director, Kash Patel, he even went so far as to raise money for Kyle Rittenhouse, who brought a rifle to a protest in Wisconsin and then shot and killed two people and was later acquitted in their deaths. Here's what he said Sunday and back then in 2021.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We're raising money. If you have a case, we will review it for free, and we will cut the check to the lawyer to file your defamation case and get your day in court. And if Kyle Rittenhouse's team is listening, or your audience is tweeting, this is what Fight with Cash is for. We will help Kyle Rittenhouse's defamation cases. We will pay for them by raising money so he can clear his name like I'm clearing mine.
Well, it's certainly a change of tune from him, now the FBI director, not to mention a president who once was all smiles alongside Kyle Rittenhouse, whom he called a, quote, nice young man. This time, the president went online saying, quote,
I never thought I'd see the day when we're watching CNN do this U-cuts, bro.
Magazines and ready to go. What's that
I guess
about,
woke is totally back.
Again, this is from a president who until this weekend hardly stopped talking about
it's complete and utter woke victory.
I'm going to save your Second Amendment. The Second
Oh my
Amendment
God, it is total woke victory.
siege.
What the
To ensure
CNN is woke again,
Americans have the means to protect themselves in this age of terror. I will be always defending the Second Amendment. We are going to be so strong with our Second Amendment. We're not letting our Second Amendment go. If the left gains power, they will demolish the suburbs, confiscate your guns, and appoint justices who will wipe away your Second Amendment and other constitutional freedoms.
The president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, the Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
And now he supports the Second Amendment, just not all the time, depending on who's carrying the gun and who gets killed. Alex Preddy was apparently not his kind of gun owner. He was, however, someone who served his country by caring for its wounded and badly ill veterans, by comforting them in their final hours and honoring their passing.
Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude.
Joining me now is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. I appreciate you being with us here in the freezing cold. First of all, just the latest developments of, it seems, the reassignment of Mr. Bovino and the bringing in of Tom Homan. What do you make of that?
Well, it sounds like they need to change tempo in their eyes. But I can tell you that Minnesotans have had quite enough of Mr. Bovino. Glad to see him go. And the fact is that this city is outraged, is upset, 50,000 plus marched in this freezing cold weather, 9 below, just a few days ago. The day before Mr. Preddy was shot down and killed, we marched 50,000 strong in the cold. So people are really, really upset. And I think Bovino leaving can only be a good development, and we'll hope for the best. But we're going to continue to press the claim of our state, and no matter who's there.
Yeah, I mean, a federal judge.
Dude, Hasanabi heads after appearing on my stream. They get around, you know what I mean?
Was that for you?
Not very. I didn't expect that.
She said the law is unclear, and I think you guys acknowledged that in court.
Well, one thing. So the circumstances are unclear. This is the largest escalation and deployment of immigration agents in the history of the country. Give you an example. I was talking to a colleague of mine today who's an AG on a border state in the South.
Why are they inviting it? Why is Hasan being invited to things?
Stand up to the Sinaloa cartel. They're losing ICE agents, but I can
you
tell
should
you where
invite
they are.
me instead. I won't go, but
tremendous numbers.
You should invite me anyway, and you should stop inviting him.
Another state, and they're here.
Right, and that's remarkable, isn't it? And so. The bottom line is that I'm not disappointed about the ruling. Judge Menendez is a very careful, excellent jurist. We are hoping for a quick answer, but I'll tell you, we are under very unique circumstances, Anderson. So I'm not surprised that the judge is going to take her time. Some have said our lawsuit's novel. I don't think it's novel. It's based on very old principles of law, but it's meeting a circumstance that is very novel and very new.
You also went to court to try to make sure that the evidence, whatever evidence that the federal government has, which I don't think they've even informed you about, that they preserve it. How concerned are you that they won't?
I'm very concerned. Well, first of all, they locked us out of the Renee Good matter, and we denied us access to that file. And then there was another shooting in North Minneapolis of a Venezuelan man who survived. And so when this third incident occurred, we weren't trusting them. We moved Saturday night, and we're able to get a TRO, a temporary restraining order, very quickly. And so we were in court on that again today so that all parties could be heard, because the TRO is generally an ex parte matter. So I don't trust them at all, and I hope the court rules in our favor to protect this evidence.
There have been some in the Department of Justice who've been critical of Minnesota officials and Minneapolis police for losing control of the crime scene to protesters who came. I've heard from police officials who said, the federal government had control of the crime scene, refused to allow state investigators who should be investigating this in this state, and then just left.
Well, I'm offended that they would try to smear local law enforcement that way. I can tell you, Brian O'Hare is our chief. He does a fine job. Sheriff Witt is our sheriff. She does a fine job. And they know how to process a crime scene. They were excluded from that crime scene.
What is this? It just hit 80K?
If the federal authorities want to make it up and do the right thing, they should do it. But to try to lie on local law enforcement just adds insult to injury in a state that's already been quite injured by the federal government.
Do you have any confidence? I mean,
what is this? No Kings? Eyes on Ice, document and record, and it's all libs being like, it's all libs going, yes, general crime, general strike. We'll be able to get copies of PowerPoint. I stand with Minnesota. Can you discuss more how two-party consent applies? I saw animals. Rest in power, Philando Castile. Dude, I'm telling you, liberal boomers are out of control. Okay. Oh God, it's happening. It's actually happening. Liberal boomers have awakened. I think breached apolitical containment. Obviously, Reddit leans left more than most social media, but I've never seen anything like this in any apolitical NASCAR group anywhere. Bootleggers, not bootlickers. ICE. Yeah, the libs are now all trade unionists on their path to sock them. I don't know if first of all, you can't pull off a national general strike like that, just so you guys understand. And the fact that there was a one-day general strike that took place in Minneapolis is even crazy in and of itself. And it only happened because there was a tremendous amount of pressure from the public. I was wrong about yesterday, and I want to say sorry about being wrong. Wait, no, it's fine, dude. I remember this was the chatter who was telling me, like, why are you saying Trump is caving? Or why are you, what was it? What did you say? W growth, though. I mean, you don't have to apologize for it, though. Hasan, come back to Minneapolis when it's warm? Yeah, I'll come back. Lennon was good at recognizing and seizing the moment. Need that again? I mean, I don't think our material conditions are anywhere near as bad as the Russian peasantry was under Tsarist Russia. Everything that we said needed to happen for the last 8 years is happening. If the libs finally done with the establishment, we have a shot at real change. If the libs are finally done with the establishment, yeah. And by this, Michael from Pennsylvania, not from Beijing, means like the liberal voters. He doesn't mean like the Democratic Party. Just so you guys understand. If the base of support is demanding more radical candidates, then we're cooking, okay? These midterms are going to be very important for the future of this country, I think, these upcoming midterms. And there aren't that many radical candidates in general, but I don't think you necessarily need that many radical candidates. You need like 5 more Zorons, and the amount of press and the amount of coverage they get will make these establishment Democratic Party losers, it will force their hand into doing more radical shit. Because I was talking to Omar about this in the Minneapolis State Senate, okay? Omar Fateh used that single person majority that the Democrats had like the greatest weapon of all time, okay? Every single thing that the Democratic Farmer Labor Party fought for in the state of Minnesota, specifically all the bills that Omar fought for, he fought for because he was the single person majority. He was the one guy that would just go, I'll shut down the state. You'll get nothing done. And he forced a lot of the more moderate libs to turn around and concede. So what you don't need, like, you know how they have the rotating villain? The rotating villains on the moderate side of the Democratic Party that are just like right-wing weapons that are oftentimes wielded against more progressive, more radical, more broad sweeping change that is a necessity. You can have a rotating villain structure for a bunch of left flank candidates, okay? For the Democratic Party, they have rotating villains. You can have rotating heroes.
You will pet me, whether you like it or not.
The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. The Piker Broadcasting Service is where you get tomorrow's news today.
Whether you like it or not.